No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Lincoln. You wanted more sweet and spice in your life, and now you've got it. At Wings and Rings, their brand new Hot Honey has all of Lincoln buzzing. Try their one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand new Hot Honey Chicken Sandwich or their Hot Honey Shrimp and Slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional, boneless, or smoked wings that have made Wings and Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. Hot Honey was supposed to be gone on April 1st, but they're extending it indefinitely. So stop by Wings and Rings at one of their 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The Electrical Workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Do you need motivation to get to the gym on the weekend or even in general? Tune into the Movement Hour each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Movement Academy owner Robert Kuhlman will host the show as he introduces new ways to stay in shape. The Movement Hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Adam Carricker on The Ticket.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carricker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carricker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carricker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carricker.
Welcome, everybody, in to Adam Carricker on The Ticket. Hope you're all having a glorious Friday, leading into a phenomenal weekend. And then, of course, next week, spring game week. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show, let me shock you with this. It's loaded. That's right. I'm going to be joined at, I'm going to be joined at 12:30 today by WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Bill Goldberg. Ask him a bunch of wrestling questions, some football questions. He's a Georgia guy. And his son Gage plays at the University of Colorado for Coach Prime. So I'm going to ask him a question or two about that. All right, the Blackshirts, potentially a top 10 defense in the country. RHULE believes they can be top 3, top 4 in the Big Ten. Maybe top 5 in the country is some fans' expectations. Tony White apologized earlier this week, or had to apologize. We'll get into that in just a minute. And no, that's not some like major thing there. If you've seen some of the recent headlines, that's what I'm going to be addressing. Don't get too crazy with that. But there were some things that he wanted to improve on himself. And so he kind of held himself accountable. All right. In-state recruiting. I've talked about it numerous times. Matt RHULE has prioritized in-state recruiting, and he talked about why. I'm going to get into that just a little bit. I'm going to react to Matt RHULE's most recent press conference from a couple of days ago. All right. Excuse me. Woke up with a little bit of a groggy voice today. Pardon me as we work through it, light this candle, have some fun, talk some football, talk to a legend, my favorite wrestler growing up, Mr. Bill Goldberg, and have a phenomenal show. And if there is time, I've been talking about giving my thoughts on Nick Saban's thoughts on NIL for a couple of weeks now, and I do apologize. Hey, when you do 2 live shows a week and every show is loaded, Here's my promise. I'm either going to get to it today or Monday, because after that, it's all about looking ahead to the spring game the rest of the week. And I will actually be in studio at 93.7 The Ticket live for the show a week from today. Okay, so either today or tomorrow, because after Monday, it's all spring game preview and analysis going forward for the rest of next week. Today's show is loaded. Hopefully I can get to it. If not, I guarantee I'll get to it on Monday. Now, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to my good friends at Bonsall Pool. Again, they are putting in my family's pool. That's why I'm shouting them out. When you find people who do a good job, people who just want to be good people who do quality work, and that's their goal, you show them some love. All right, so you can check them out at bonsalpool.com. They've got hot tubs, saunas. They do services as well for pools, hot tubs, saunas, etc. Okay, you can also check them out, 3201 Pioneers Boulevard here in Lincoln. The phone number is 402-488-0148. And I should mention before I light this candle, dive into this first topic. Might just call it the People's Hour, because what we started to do recently is not just accumulate the questions and comments and answer them the last 8 minutes of the show. Because if you're driving in your car listening to this, you might be out of your car in 5 minutes. So do me a favor, send me your questions, concerns, thoughts, or otherwise to 402-464-5685, and I will read them as soon as they are put up on my screen. All right. And so we've been doing it the entire hour the past few shows, and I think people have been enjoying that. So I will read them as soon as I get them. So maybe we should just start calling it the Loaded Hour, the People's Hour. This show has like 89,422 million nicknames, and I'm rounding down. Again, that's 402-464-5685. Send me your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and or otherwise, and we will call this the People's Hour, because I'm going to be interacting with you live the whole hour. Now let's start right off the top. All right. A lot of people, including myself, most folks have high expectations for this year's Blackshirt defense, and rightfully so. The whole entire defensive front is coming back. Starters, depth. That was a big question mark last year. One of the best units on the entire team, and they were young as an overall whole. All coming back. Linebackers, for the most part, coming back. Got to figure out one starter. DBs. Okay, brought in some talented guys, some freshmen, some transfer guys. Got to figure out a corner spot. Hopefully Tommy Hill has a big year. He's got the talent to do so. Hartzog working at safety. Okay, the defense can be really, really good. We do not play juggernauts on our schedule. The first 7 games, 6 of the offenses are really pretty bad, if I'm being honest with you. Colorado, they're going to try to put up points. They're going to have a good offense, at least explosive. I don't know if they'll be consistent. They were explosive and inconsistent last year. But they brought in a lot of transfers. Dion wants some people who can protect his son, and so hopefully he doesn't get lit up and killed this year, because they didn't block anyone. They didn't tackle anyone on defense last year. So they're looking to score some points, but that's really it out of the first 7 teams. Even you look at the last 5 teams. All right. This is the Wisconsin team. They're trying to throw the ball more. Trying to. Okay. This is an Iowa team with a brand new offensive coordinator. This is a UCLA team with a head coach who's never even been a coordinator. All due respect to Deshaun Foster, is one of the best running backs ever, but he's never actually called plays in a game before. Okay, so you look at Ohio State, they're going to score some points on people. USC, probably going to score points on people. That's what Lincoln Riley's teams do. So there's really 2 offenses out of 12 that you look at right now in April, and you're like, wow, those offenses are going to bring it. The other 10, there's about 7 or 8 that they're not good, not great anyways. And there's 2 that may or may not be, but none of them that really terrify you outside of the other 10. Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Nebraska. I saw a recent poll. Those are the top 8 projected defenses going in to next season. And I pointed this out on Monday when I chatted with Terrell Farley. Of those 8 teams, 6 of them, 5 of them are in the Big Ten. The top 4 are all Big Ten. Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon, per this projected poll. Okay, then you got Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, 5, 6, 7. Nebraska is projected to be the top 8, the 8th strongest defense in the country going into the 2024 season. I think they can definitely be top 10. Okay, top 5 potentially. If the offense can help them out more and not put them in tough situations, move the ball, keep the ball, not give the opposing team short field, that would help too. So Tony White, earlier this week, okay, he said, and I quote, "I apologized to the guys and said, hey guys, this is my fault." Now what he was really referring to Okay. Let me pull up. Had it a second go. Okay. What he was referring to was the fact that head coach Matt RHULE jumped us, he said, as a defensive staff because he was unhappy with the Huskers' energy and focus on defense in the scrimmage last Saturday. So here's the thing about defense. Every position is different. Okay, that goes without saying. All right, obviously offensive linemen are built much differently than wide receivers, etc. Offense is very different than defense. A lot of defense is reactionary. It is a relentless attitude and a relentless effort to the ball because you don't know what the offense is going to do. So it's about reading, reacting, playing with violence, and playing relentlessly. And so if you're not playing with a reckless abandon on defense, pardon me again, working through this. If you're not playing with that reckless abandon on defense, you're not going to play anywhere near as well. You might be fast, you might be strong, you might be talented, you might be all the things of above. But if you don't have that reckless abandon, you're not going to be the same. I would assume that with all the veteran leadership coming back this year on defense and Tony White coming back and everybody knowing themselves just a little bit better going into year 2 under Coach RHULE, that the defense would be better. What you don't want, and I don't expect this at all, but you don't want any sort of complacency. Like, hey, we were really good last year. All right, we're going to be even better this year. We got our leader, Coach White, coming back. You don't want any of that. You can't allow that. And I don't anticipate that. I'm not saying that's what's going on. Football's tough. Not every day is as fun as the day before. I don't know if I'm shocking people with that, but it's hard. There are days you wake up and it's hard to get going. Now, if those days happen more often than not, you shouldn't be doing the sport of football, but there are those days. No different than anything else you do. The difference with football and defense especially is you're asking your body to do something that your body was not intended to do. You're supposed to run 1,000,000 miles an hour into another human being and hit him so hard that he goes into the turf because he's trying to hit you so hard that he runs you over. It's not something that the body was intended to do. So that's the mental challenge when you play defense, is on those days when you wake up and the earth's just a little bit funny and you don't feel quite right and you're a little bit beat up. I apologize, I'm working through it. Those really got to push through, work through. And I think those were kind of the words that RHULE was trying to impart to Tony White. Pardon me, my apologies. Trying to impart to Tony White as far as, hey, we got to demand this every day. Each and every day has to be the standard. And obviously, Coach White knows what he's doing. Coach RHULE knows what he's doing. These guys know what to expect of each other. And they're demanding it of each other because it's easy on a day when you don't feel great. Coaches are humans too. Maybe just have a little bit of a letdown. The problem is then the next guy feels that, the guy next to you, and then the next guy and the next guy. And then that turns into one day that wasn't as great effort-wise, and one day can easily turn into 2. So all they're doing is getting on top of it and nipping it in the bud. Okay, so I actually really like that because that high level of standard, it doesn't vary. It stays the same each and every day. If you feel like $1,000,000 on a particular day, hey, that's easy. Anybody can do that. What about the day when you feel like, 90%, 75%, 80%? Hey, it's April. We aren't going to play a game for months. Is today really as important? Yes, it is. Because it's that muscle memory. You're training your brain, you're training your body. So anyways, I'm excited, just like everybody else, to watch this defense. I'm excited to watch that front four. I'm excited to watch Coach Tony White take this defense to the next level. I'm curious to see how some of these offenses that we're going to play, how good are they? And how do we adjust to them as the year goes along? Now, I'm going back a couple weeks with this, but Coach White did make a comment, and I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but basically he did say, this group this year hasn't done anything yet. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind too. All right, now Coach RHULE, going on to recruiting just a little bit here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I wanted to touch on it. because he is making an emphasis specifically to recruit Nebraska guys. And anybody who's listened to me for years, this is year 10 of me, by the way, covering the Huskers. Okay. I've always talked about you start in state and then you go outwards. Now, in the last 2 decades, no Husker coach has pursued and offered and signed as many Nebraska high school players as Matt RHULE. His first year, he signed 8 Nebraska high school players to his recruiting class. That was the most to a Nebraska recruiting class since 1998, about a quarter of a century. Last year, he signed 8 again, so a total of 16. That's the most by any Nebraska football coach in a 2-year span in 2 decades. Now, this year already, 4 of his 5 current commitments are from the state of Nebraska. Now, it's interesting because Matt RHULE's talking about why. He said, and I quote, pardon me. He said, and I quote, "I'll watch the film, and he's good enough. He's a scholarship player." RHULE said April 11 of evaluating an in-state prospect. And the recruiting staff will say, he's a 4, which means we think he'll be a multiple-year starter. And I'll say, well, then we should offer him a scholarship. And they're like, well, maybe we can get him as a walk-on. And to be honest with you, that was Nebraska's approach for quite a while. And it makes sense. With a limited amount of scholarships, why would you not try to get as many people to walk on as you can? Because if you get a couple of guys who could have had scholarships to walk on, now you've got extra scholarships to bring in more players. More players equals more competition, more talent, more depth, etc. But here's what he said. I thought it was interesting. He said, and I quote, "If all we do is offer players in the state of Nebraska walk-on opportunities, then every guy is going to grow up dreaming of getting a walk-on opportunity. If we offer players scholarships, then guys we have the dream of maybe I can be a scholarship player." Easy for me to read. I promise I can read. Basically, they're going to have a dream of being a scholarship player. End quote. And I thought that was interesting because I'd never thought of it that way. I'd always thought of it, hey, get as many guys to walk on as you can, and then if you can't, you offer them a scholarship. Makes logical sense. I'd never thought of it that way. That was interesting to me because he's saying we're going to prioritize guys dreaming of getting a scholarship at Nebraska. And I think part of that is I don't know that the same amount of kids grow up dreaming of playing at the University of Nebraska as, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Obviously, that correlates to the win-loss record now versus then, etc. But I thought when he said that, I thought it made a lot of sense. Because if you want to prioritize in-state recruiting, which it clearly does, then you've got to prioritize in-state recruiting so that in-state recruits want to prioritize coming to Nebraska. And I was like, wow, I had not thought of it that way. And that made a lot of sense. I'll be honest with you. My recruiting story is interesting. Okay. Nebraska at first flat out said, you're not good enough to play here. And I'll tell the story more in depth one day. I did years ago. I haven't for years. But the short version is they said, you're not good enough to play here. I was a quarterback, had never played in a game as a DN in high school, not in a game. I'd been the team's starting quarterback for 3 years, going on 4. During the defensive portion of practice for 3 years, I was the scout team quarterback going against the defense. And then when it was the offensive priority of practice, I was a quarterback. So I'd literally never played DN. I had played linebacker in middle school, oddly enough. I take that back. The first year I started at quarterback, I was actually at safety. That's how much my coach didn't want me to get hit. But going into my senior year, I said, Coach, I don't really like quarterback. I said, yes, I can throw. I don't like it. I want to go hit people. So we made a deal. As long as I would keep playing quarterback, he'd let me play DN. And so the Husker coaching staff at that point in time said, you're not good enough to play here. Long story short, I go through the season. I get much, much, much better. At the end of the year, they offer me to walk on. And my dad looked at me and he said, hey, they're trying to get you to walk on because they want you to play there, but they can save a scholarship for someone else. And so anyways, and this is where I'll save the rest of the story for another day. I did end up getting a scholarship. This is very topical. I'll go more in depth another year when recruiting and signing day approaches, but I end up getting a scholarship offer. So in my own story, I can kind of relate to what he's talking about just a bit. And it means more. And it will be prioritized more in a potential recruit's mind if they know, hey, a scholarship is more likely to be on the table. Especially, we're still kind of, I don't want to say retraining. Let's be honest, we are retraining Nebraska high school football players to want to come to Nebraska. So hopefully they're at a level of the desire to play for Nebraska that it once was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I've mentioned this in the past on other shows, so I'll mention it here. 1997 National Championship starting offense had 9 starters on offense from the state of Nebraska. I actually went back and double-checked that to make sure this morning. 9 of the 11 starters were from the state of Nebraska, including the entire backfield. All right. About 9 minutes. I'm going to be joined by Bill Goldberg. I'm going to, in the meantime, just start to react a little bit to Matt RHULE's most recent press conference from a couple of days ago, and I may have to finish it towards the end of the show after the interview is over. Just a reminder, if you got questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, otherwise, 402-464-5685. All right. Coach RHULE talked about Ben Hart, Scott, Banks, Fedoni were held out of the scrimmage on Saturday. Not injured, just veterans and playing it safe. I get that. I'm always about getting guys as many reps as you can if they're banged up. I don't know if this is the time of year to push it. It is the time of year. During the season, you got to prioritize guys who are going to play going into the season like fall camp. Now is the time to get more looks at younger guys and see what they can do and get them some reps and see how they develop. He said they protected the ball well in the scrimmage, only 1 turnover. They used crowd noise, okay? He wants more takeaways, all right, than last year. They only had 13, had 31 turnovers on offense. But he is pleased with the winter training. Really happy at how the guys bounced back today after the scrimmage. He's seen a lot of growth over the winter and so far over the spring as well. And I think, bouncing back on the defensive side of the ball after the energy clearly wasn't high enough at a certain point this spring. I think that's a really good sign as well. Not everyone bounces back well when they get their butt chewed, so that's a good sign. All right. He did say, I don't anticipate anyone going into the transfer portal. I believe we had one earlier this week. It'd be almost impossible for nobody to go in today's day and age. Like is that even, I know it's possible, but is it realistically, even remotely possibly realistic? Like, is it? It's crazy to think, because everyone's going in the transfer portal now. You look at like the University of Colorado. I mean, how many guys do they have going? And then you listen to what Dion had to say yesterday. He basically said he didn't care. We really didn't lose anything or anyone. So I thought that was telling from Coach Prime's point of view and his perspective. All right, Coach RHULE did mention that players are showing him texts from other coaches, basically tampering's going on, trying to get Nebraska players to go there. Again, pardon me. Tampering's gone on for years. It's always gone on. The rules of college football have been broken for decades. We know that. NIL just has made things legal that has gone on for years. And coaches texting and doing things of that nature and recruiting outside of the normal recruiting period, that's gone on for Lord knows how long. I love the RHULE called it out. I do. Now, if nobody ever looks into this, that means people just don't care and they're not paying attention. Somebody, does the NCAA have any power anymore? I don't know. I'm just going to pretend they do. Somebody from the NCAA should be looking into that. If a coach says that and he says, I got text, and they never look into it, that's a really bad sign. So somebody should be looking into that. Now, who knows what will ever come up of that, if anything will. All right, but we are up against the break. I appreciate you all bearing with me today. I honestly thought I could get through the hour without hacking my head off like a dozen times. I apologize. It's happened multiple times already. But I appreciate you bearing with me today. I did not want to miss today. I love talking Husker football. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a few minutes with Mr. Bill Goldberg.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
The need in our community, if you just look at the numbers, it's frightening. We're serving over 1,000 kids every day. With the passion of our people, I really feel like our potential to be of even greater service to kids and families, unlimited. But in order to have the greatest impact, we need all the help we can get from the community.
Soulful Casino in Havelock is a family-owned business, providing incredible food and service that'll have you craving more with every bite. Soulful Casino offers everything from pulled pork to fried chicken, catfish, ribs, and even quesadillas. You want sides? They've got them. From fries, green beans and baked beans, to collard greens, potato salad, and sweet dill corn. Stop by for lunch as they have specials Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 2 p.m. That's Soulful Casino, located in Havelock, where every bite you take fills the soul.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular price athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
At Doane University, we build leaders, and that means your success and achievements come first.
At Doane University, your future is uniquely yours, and our world-class liberal arts education is just the beginning.
We invite you to schedule your campus visit and experience why Doane University will start you on your journey to your future career.
Learn more by scheduling your personal campus visit today at doane.edu/visit. See you soon.
Hey guys, it's Bill Bush. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty has opened a new location in Pender, Nebraska, in addition to their office in Lincoln. The real estate world can be confusing, so why wouldn't you want an expert helping you every step of the way? If you're looking to buy or sell farmland in Nebraska, Kansas, or Iowa, give Ethan Sorensen a call today at 402-380-0432 or visit them online at nextagrealestate.com. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty with locations in Lincoln and now Pender, Nebraska.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine. heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
When you're in New York, Nick, in New York, I mean, you're talking about, you see mafioso types. You go into a restaurant and you would literally eat. Hey, come on over here. You know, they I don't know how to say it. I don't got the accent, but they would say, come, Strick, come here, come over. Have a drink on me. And what are you going to do? Say no?
You not say
you
no
don't
to that?
say no to the drink. You don't say no.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to Adam Carricker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carricker on The Ticket. All right, I'm excited to be joined by my personal favorite wrestler of all time, WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Bill Goldberg. How you doing, my friend?
Now, you really don't have to introduce every guest like that, but I'm unbelievable, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm glorious. I appreciate you taking the time. And I want to light this candle with a couple of fun questions right off the bat. You ready?
Great, yeah.
All right, man. So recently, in the past few months, you weren't so thrilled with Mr. Vince McMahon, okay? And you said he kind of backed out on his promise of a retirement match for you. So what's the status of that retirement match? What's the update on that happening now, potentially in any way, shape, or form?
Oh, God, who knows, man? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've kind of put that on the back burner. Right now, I've segued into dad, first and foremost. Well, you know, dad and husband and car host. You know, I'm just having fun in my garage, man. So I really don't have a lot of time right now to dedicate to prepping for a retirement match. You know as well as I do, when you were a senior in high school and you were preparing to make that transition to go to college and play football, that was part of the that was one of the most tumultuous times of your life. I don't know if that's the right word to use to describe it, but challenging, you know. So I'm trying to do everything I can in my power 24/7 to get our boy prepped for the next phase of his life. And in all honesty, that's the most important thing I could ever have going, whether it was ready for, whether I was ready to step in the ring right now or not. I put it all on the back burner, you know, for this boy, because it's going to be tough, man. He's going to, you know, play against a team that has to play against your alma mater, you know, yearly. So, in an extremely long-winded answer, that's where I am, man. And yeah, Vince kind of let me down, but it's the business. It is what it is. It's kind of like football. I mean, you know, that's like, I remember I was with the Rams my first year, and my defensive line coach told me after I tore my hamstring in the first preseason game that there was no way I was going to be cut. And lo and behold, the next week I was cut. So it's just a business.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. And the word I would use for when I was getting ready to go off to college was insane. It just felt like everything was crazy. It was so scattered. I was trying to be organized. It felt insane to me. All right, so we got a couple of messages real quick. Go ahead.
You got a kid engaged that, you know, has been, it's a long story. I could write a book on it, but you know, he juggled two major sports throughout his entire high school career, never could really dedicate on one of them. Now has made that choice before, you know, his senior year that he's going to go for football. Now everybody knows he's going to Colorado, but he's still right now in the middle of a baseball season, to where, you know, his team has been ranked first in the state. He's arguably the best catcher in the state. He's got 2 walk-offs in a row the last 2 games, and he's got a month and a half before he goes to CU to to enroll in 2 courses and start training, up at the next level. So I'm petrified. It's a tough deal as a dad. Going through it yourself, it's one thing, but as a dad, it's completely, it sucks. It's great, but it sucks.
I would imagine it's terrifying. We got a couple of comments here. Danny Carlberg from Facebook says biggest with a couple of trophies. I want to give him a shout out. And Deion Pryor says, Adam, go big red. Keep sending in your comments, your questions. All right, man. So Gage is going to see you. He's going to play for Coach Prime. So talk to me, because that's a man that gets a lot of attention, a program that's getting a lot of attention right now. What are your thoughts on Gage going to see you playing for Coach Prime and walking into a situation where there's a lot of eyeballs on that program right now?
Man, the biggest question right now is how has college football changed because of the NIL? And then you walk into a program like CU's that is run by a person and a coach like Deion. I made the reference the other day. I mean, we literally committed to Colorado. To Colorado. We literally committed to Alabama. And then an hour later, that was our decision. We had come to a decision in the morning. It was the day after his All-Star game that Alabama was the place to go. An hour later, I get a phone call from Gage that Saban had retired. I'm old school. Saban stood for old school stuff. You can say what you want, but NIL truly pushed him out of the league, of his position. For one reason or another. We went from the program that was anti-NIL and as old school as you can get, exactly, to the one in the fire that's at the forefront of all of the controversy. But, here's my deal again. I'm a football player. I equate life to my teammates, to my situations dealing with teammates. I was Deion's teammate. You love him or you hate him, right? I love the man because he took care of me. He did good things. He not only was the guy that was flashy and said, look at me, but at the same time, he would extend his hand out and help people and sign autographs and be that liaison between, the guy that you want to hate and the guy that you really want to love. Right. So it's a weird situation. It was a tough call. It wasn't my call. It was Gage's call. But as a parent, he's going, the overlying picture is that he's going to a major college program that's on the way up, that has a lot of eyeballs on it. And one of my ex-teammates is the head coach. And a number of friends of mine are associated with the program. And my family has been associated with the program throughout a number of years. So that gives me the fatherly knowledge of knowing that if the poop hits the fan, then somebody's there in a family capacity to help, period, end of story. So he didn't make a decision to go there because Deion's going to give him a starting job because he's my son. Let's be perfectly honest. This is a day and age where, coaches' jobs are on the line every game based upon the performance of their players. So if he can't cut it, he ain't going to be on the team. So it's all on him now. So it just gives me the knowledge that in the back of my mind, I've got a safety valve to take care of a human being, which just so happens to be my son, and who means the most to me than anything in the world other than my wife, in addition to my wife. So, it's a peace of mind deal. And it's a great program. He'll have a lot of eyes on him. He'll have great opportunities. And if anybody can help with the positive NIL situation, it's Deion and University of Colorado. So, And hey, my brother owns some great restaurants in Denver, and I can't wait to go there.
It's funny. I was about to mention that. So you were teammates with Dion in Atlanta with the Falcons. And then when you made your triumphant return to the WWE, it was actually at the Pepsi Center in Denver. You were gracious enough to help my son and I, Jacob, actually get ringside seats. We got to go actually to your brother's sushi restaurant afterwards. Was, by the way, best sushi I've ever had. And I remember chatting with my wife. I'm like, Ange, Jacob's not going to get to bed till like 2 a.m. and he's like a second grader, third grader, whatever he was at the time. She's like, Adam, just this is a fun opportunity. Take advantage of it. And when the wife gives you free reign like that, you take advantage of it. So yeah, you have a lot of family in this area, and that is awesome. Great support for Gage. I'm going to ask you one more football question. Then I do got a couple of just general wrestling questions. But talk to me about your alma mater, Georgia. They're probably considered the top program in the country right now. How do you think Kirby Smart was able to build Georgia? Always a good program. Won the national title in 1980, but all of a sudden they've reeled off a couple recently. They're dominating recruiting. How has he taken them to that upper echelon in college football?
You know, I mean, Kirby's a great coach, but I think his strong point is the fact that he's a player's coach. And he's a guy that you would walk in the locker room for, and after he gives you his speech, you would want to run through a wall for him. And that is invaluable. So with the team that he's assembled as a coaching staff throughout the years, and the backing of the booster club and everyone who's always been associated with Georgia, I mean, it's that they've been on the cusp for a number of years. And it took Kirby and a number of recruiting classes and a number of unbelievable kids that represented the program at a higher level, at the next level in the NFL, I think, to bring it to the forefront. I think a number of top recruiting classes year after year, and people staying their senior seasons and, you know, fulfilling that obligation that there used to be in college football, you know, be there for your teammates kind of deal and not really worry about yourself and your future. But, you know, now it's a different day and age, so I get it. But I think there are a lot of things that contribute to it. There's no question that the backing of the booster club and the ability to, you know, match a 60,000 square foot weight room that Alabama puts up, you know, the next 2 years, and then not only following the top programs, but becoming the top program in a 10-year period. So he's done a hell of a job. He really has.
All right, man, I do want to talk a little bit of current WWE product. The Rock comes back, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns. Cody finishes his story, ends Roman Reigns' 1,316-day championship reign. What were your thoughts on WrestleMania, The Rock coming back, and Cody beating Roman?
I don't watch it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, quite obviously, I'm going to hear all the news, and you know, but I think it's a different deal, right? It's a different day and age. I think that The Rock's involvement in any way, shape, or form is going to be positive for the business with WWE, and you know, the merger with the UFC and all of everything that encompasses that. And unfortunately, with what happened to Vince, I think it was an advantageous time for something positive to happen. And I believe that with Rock involved, there's no doubt that it could do nothing but prosper. I think the story was told properly in the end, with Cody giving the fans, I think, from what I hear, what they wanted to see. Roman was an unbelievable champ, and for an extremely long reign. And, people have had their opinions about that, but that's over with. And now they're on to the next phase. And I believe that it's in a positive light. So I'm happy with where the wrestling business is right now. And I'm appreciative of everything shaping up the way that it did, so that kind of everyone has a smile on their face. You know what I mean? Because in the end, everybody can't be happy, but I think what they did and the product that they put out and the results that came from it were enough to satiate the masses. So, you wouldn't have mentioned that it was arguably the best WrestleMania of all time. And so going into it, people surely weren't thinking that.
Night 2 of WrestleMania is the most fun I've ever had watching a WrestleMania. So it was pretty electrifying, if you will, not just because of The Rock, but because of everything that they did with the run-ins from Cena to Taker, obviously The Rock's involvement, Roman, Cody, etc. And this is a bit of a touchy subject, so do with it what you will. I'm just going to ask it, throw it out there, do with it what you will. Do you have any thoughts on the recent Vince McMahon allegations?
No, I really don't. Everybody has an opinion, and again, it's kind of like me asking you how you felt about your head coaches throughout the years, about your general managers throughout the years. And it's not fair for anybody to give an opinion based upon their own opinion and not be not slandered, but run through the ringer by other people based upon what they think of that, because they weren't there. So, as in all bosses, I think, former bosses, we had good times and we had bad times, but that is what it is. And the allegations and the things that have come to the forefront over the past 6 months or a year, I have no comment on it. It's not my place. So I think that the current situation of the WWE, or the current owners of the WWE, are going to make decisions based upon what they believe. And I think that the decisions they have made have been favorable to the masses. Again, I will be this objective guy in answering a question. But yeah, personally, I'm not going to give you an answer because that's a personal answer between he and I. Professionally, that's the answer that I can give you because I try to be as professional as possible. So
that makes perfect sense. It's an answer that makes a lot of sense. I'm that guy that I'll ask a question. People can answer however they want, and then we move on. So no, that's a very, very good answer. All right, last two questions I got for you, and I'm just kind of curious because the last time we chatted, which was about a year ago, I think AEW got brought up very briefly, and I know you're focused on other things, not really watching too much pro wrestling, the product right now. I'm just kind of curious if you've ever had a conversation with Tony Khan about ever joining AEW at any point. I'm just kind of curious if that conversation ever even took place.
I've talked to him a number of times throughout the past, but and this is where you're going to get the most blunt answer you're going to get from me. The product's too cheesy. The product is too cheesy. It doesn't deserve to have, whatever. It's not, you're really going to get me going, but if there was a comparable viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of their roster, yeah, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance.
All right, last question I got. This is a fun question. It's actually one of all the times we've talked, I've never asked you this question, and I don't know why. So this is a fun question because you've had matches with a lot of great wrestlers, but you've had the opportunity and the good fortune to beat guys like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Brock Lesnar twice, once in 90 seconds. Okay, Triple H, and that's kudos to you and them working together, doing what's best for business. But here's my question. What is your most memorable match of all time?
Be more specific. All encompassing, it'd have to be Hogan because, at the end of the night, when we went off the air, the Falcons came and saved me, so as an NFL guy, who didn't want to do anything in his entire life but to be a successful player in the NFL, and to have played there sparingly for 4 years and hung on every single day, and thought I was going to get cut every day. To have guys like that you admired and bled with and sweat with and, spent so much time with in the trenches, and you admired them and you wanted to be like them, to have them come to your aid and want to be in your shoes, yeah, arguably, hands down, that was the best night of my wrestling career.
All right,
And
beating Hogan.
Had nothing to do with the belt.
Well, when you beat a guy like Hogan, when you beat him in Georgia, in Atlanta, you got the Falcons helping you out, like I said. I still remember watching that. I was in high school. I still remember watching that at home, and that was an electrifying night as well. All right, my friend, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck to your boy Gage. I'll be rooting for him, not Colorado, but I'll be rooting for him during his football career.
I would expect nothing less of you, my friend. I love you, man. Love the family. Great to hear from you again, and always best to you.
All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
When you're in New York, Nick, in New York, I mean, you're talking about, you see mafioso types. You go into a restaurant and you would literally eat. Hey, come on over here. You know, they I don't know how to say it. I don't got the accent, but they would say, come, Strick, come here, come over. Have a drink on me. And what are you going to do? Say no?
You not say
you
no
don't
to that?
say no to the drink. You don't say no.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to Adam Carricker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carricker on The Ticket. Couple things real quick as we close out the show. I legit have 5 water bottles on the ground, okay? This is all I have left, if you can see me on YouTube, or if you're watching me elsewhere. That's all I have left from 5 water bottles. All right, but we're making it through the show, having a lot of fun. I had a couple of people text me some information about Colorado, and actually one of these things I put out on social media yesterday, because, of course, Goldberg talked about Colorado. Talked about them having, over 85 transfers leave the program and counting in the past 2 years since Coach Prime got there. He only had 6 commits from high school in 2024, 0 so far in 2025. And now, I guess, Shadur is having offensive transfers DM him on Twitter, and Shiloh, Deion's other son, is getting DMs from defensive players in the transfer portal on Twitter. I don't know. Very interesting stuff. I'm going to give my final thoughts to the rest of my notes from Matt Rhule's press conference on the other day here in just a second, and I will give, it's interesting he brought up Saban, because I'm going to give my thoughts on the whole NIL thing, because NIL really is the thing. Saban as much said it. That's kind of why I left college football. Now there's more to it than just that, and I'll dive into that on Monday. I will finally get into my Nick Saban NIL thoughts. It was interesting because Goldberg texted me. He goes, "Hey man, I appreciate you having me. I hope I wasn't too vague on stuff." Now, if you're a wrestling fan, you know that he's caught in some headlines recently, not always favorable, I might add, talking about him and Vince McMahon and him being upset that Vince didn't give him the retirement match that Vince had promised him. The whole Asuka having, the longer streak than he did, that caught some headlines that weren't too favorable. And I thought a little unfairly to Goldberg, if I'm being honest with you. So I was kind of curious how he was going to be today. I thought he's a guy that's got strong opinions, no problem voicing them. But like he said, he wanted to keep it professional. I respect that. I completely and utterly get that, especially when you got a kid who's going into college, and everything you say and do can indirectly come back to him now, especially if he's going to be more in the public eye at a place like Colorado. But I appreciated him joining me. I thought his thoughts on Tony Khan were interesting. Well, AEW, I should say, if you have any idea what that is, All Elite Wrestling. All right, they formed a few years ago in an attempt to compete with WWE. That has not gone well. Although we should thank Tony and AEW, because WWE, how do I put this nicely? They sucked about 4 or 5 years ago. They sucked. And competition, high tide raises all ships. Here comes AEW. They're red hot all of a sudden. While AEW was going down because the new car smell was fading away, WWE is making more money and just put on the best WrestleMania they ever have. So we should thank Tony and AEW for that. But I thought Goldberg's thoughts on AEW were interesting. A fan tweeted me the other day about AEW. It's not All Elite Wrestling, Adam. He said it's always empty wrestling because their crowds are getting smaller. each and every week. And admittedly, I don't really watch them that much anymore. I'm not trying to bury AEW. They've just gradually doing less and less good while WWE keeps getting better and better. So props to WWE. Final thoughts on Matt Rhule's press conference from the other day. Says you can't be afraid of pushing guys to bring out the best in them because they might go into the portal. So much truth. Guys either want to get better or they're going to get out. Love that. Vincent Shavers. Now, Bly Hill, Vincent Shavers, I was talking about the defense earlier. Two guys to watch for in that linebacker, starting linebacker race and cornerback race as well. Vincent Shavers has earned the right to have people talking about him. Oh, where was it the other day? It might have been Sipple talking to Sean Callahan. I could be wrong, but they were talking about, are we making too much of Vincent Shavers? He's just a true freshman. Are we making too much of him? Well, probably going to have a true freshman starting a quarterback. So I think it's fair to talk about a true freshman. And when Matt Rhule says he has earned the right to have people talking about him, I think it's fair to talk about him then. All right. A couple of final thoughts. Again, I apologize. I've had fun, but I'm ready to be done, if I'm being honest with you. The wide receiver room significantly improved. Too many drops in the scrimmage. Our guys struggle when they get pressed, trying to manufacture that because Tony White's defense doesn't teach them to deal with that all the time. And that's something our receivers got to be able to do. Last year, defenses, they could just go man single high, or they could go cover zero and blitz the house, knowing that they didn't have to worry about their guys getting beat one-on-one. We've got to be able to win those one-on-one battles this year, especially if there's not a safety deep. Cover zero means no safeties deep. If they're going to bring that many people, you got to make them pay. Otherwise, your quarterback's going to struggle. He's going to have no time. All right, older players can mentor in handling pressure and the workloads. Older players taking the leadership role, so to speak. Let's see. Guys are going to get banged up and hurt, but if guys play full speed, they get used to it, and injuries will decrease. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are my final thoughts. We did have a lot of injuries last year, but if you play that way all the time, which is why I hated the two-hand touch spring games from a few years ago, but if you get used to the physical contact, you build up that callus, that toughness, mentally and physically, and then you're less likely to get hurt, even though you're hitting more often. I know it kind of doesn't make sense, but it also kind of does. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a glorious weekend. Until Monday, go big red, and always remember to throw the bones.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
You don't